Miami Book Fair on Book TV.
Hello, good afternoon. Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to begin the last program that will take place in this Chapman Center for Miami Book Fair this evening. And of course, tomorrow we have an entire day here in this Chapman Center and also throughout the fair. Good afternoon again. I am Malou Harrison, and I'd like to welcome you here to Miami Book Fair. And it has been a truly, truly outstanding day here at the fair, hasn't it? Yes, it has. And many of you may or may not know that I've been a volunteer since 1989 at Miami Book Fair. And every single year, it has gotten much better and much, much more special. And, you know, that really is a testament to the great work and commitment of Miami Dade College and the community that comes together to bring this literary fair to our community and to those that visit us from near and far. And so I say that with all sincerity because it would not be here, it would not be this caliber of a book fair if it were not for the thousands of individuals, including our fairgoers, and that's you. So many, many thanks to you for making this book fair as special as it is. Without further ado, I'd like to get on with the show. Please, you know the routine. Please silence your devices. Those that are coming in, please take a seat. And I'm going to bring on Mr. Bob Weisberg, and he's a longtime civil rights attorney, and he will make the formal introductions. Thank you. Bob?
Thank you. I have to say it's a real honor for me to make these introductions. Rudabeh Shabazi anchors the weekday evening newscasts on WFOR-TV CBS4 in Miami. She also anchors the public affairs show Focus on South Florida, which airs on WBFS MTV 33. She joined CBS4 in August 2015 as a morning anchor and became the main anchor along with Rick Fulbaum in September of 2015. Rudabeh was part of the team that won an Emmy for coverage of the Pulse nightclub mass shooting attack and was nominated for an Emmy for her coverage from Havana when President Obama made his historic visit to Cuba. Before joining CBS4, Rudabeh worked at television stations in LA and Phoenix, where she also received an Emmy and Emmy nominations. Rudabeh graduated from Pepperdine University, where she studied journalism and sociology, and received a master's degree from University of California, Berkeley Graduate School of Journalism. I suspect that most of you in this room, like me, were first introduced to Khizr Khan a little after 9 p.m. Eastern Time on July 28th, 2016, when Khizr, with his wife Ghazala standing beside him, Muslim American citizens, and parents of U.S. Army Captain Humayun Khan, who was tragically killed in Iraq in 2004, electrified millions of people around the world on the final day of the Democratic Convention, when he passionately spoke of American ideals and values and offered to lend Donald Trump his own much-read and dog-eared pocket constitution. Khizr was born the eldest of 10 children in rural Pakistan. He and his family moved to the United States in 1980, where they became American citizens and raised 3 sons. Khizr holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Punjab, an LLB from Punjab University Law College, and an LLM from Harvard Law School. Khizr's book, An American Family, a memoir of hope and sacrifice, takes you on his life's journey from Pakistan, through schooling in Pakistan, through the United States, through the convention, and after. It was a joy to read, and I believe after you read it, you'd agree with me that it should be required reading in civics classes throughout the United States. As described in the book, after his stirring speech at the Democratic National Convention, Khizr and Ghazala received hundreds of letters from inspired people throughout the U.S. and the world, offering condolences and thanking them for their strength and courage. And I want to read a passage from one of those letters, and a little description of it. And this is from a woman, and this came a week after the convention, from a woman in Oregon, reference to Mr. and Mrs. Khan in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it's summarized in the book. She offers her condolences and writes that she believes Humayun must be proud of us for speaking out. She thanks them for their courage and for exercising rights guaranteed to all Americans in the First Amendment to the Constitution. And she then writes, and I think this really captures the essence of what Khizr's presence that night meant to this woman as well as millions of people around the world. And I'm reading this quote from the letter. "It has been such a sight to behold, and you have made me very proud as an American. I am disabled and unable to travel by airplane. I will never be able to see the Statue of Liberty or Ellis Island, but that is okay now because I have seen the parents of Captain Humayun Khan in action, and I have seen Lady Liberty quite alive." Thank you. Please join me in welcoming Rudabeh Shavai and Khizr Khan to the Miami Book Fair.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here. Welcome to Miami.
Thank you.
Such an honor.
Thank you very much.
So I first want to start with the most important aspect of this entire story, which is your son, the Honorable Captain Humayun Khan. And I want you to tell us what you want people to remember about him and his legacy.
Well, he was best of America. He was made in right here. We brought him 2 years old to this nation, to this country, and the rest, all he learned from here, service to others, standing up for fairness. He was made in right here, made of the values and the goodness of this country. I didn't know, recently I was at an event in Washington, D.C. A lady approached me and she said, "Mr. Khan, you don't know me, but Captain Humayun Khan was my commandant in Iraq. He found out that I cry every day because I was so afraid. He made a point, as long as he was there, he would come to me every evening before I went to bed, and he would assure me that, don't worry, I am with you, I am here to protect you." That is what we know of Captain Humayun Khan. I pay tribute to, if there are veterans in the audience here or by the reach of my voice, because of your service, your family's service, of all of our veterans, members of the armed forces, members of our law enforcement and their families. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your honorable service to this nation, for keeping us safe and for keeping us free. We are grateful. Captain Humayun Khan was a soldier's soldier. He took an oath to defend the Constitution, to protect those that were under his responsibility, and he was so true to his word to the last moment of his life. And we did not make him that. And that is what the stories we tell in the book, that he was made right here. He was made in this country. He was made in this nation. He was avid reader of Thomas Jefferson, meaning service to nation, service to our country, standing up for fairness. That was his motto. And the rest is history. You all know him. He's as much as your son as he's ours. He belongs to America. He represented America so well, taught us, even to your own peril, you stand up for fairness. And he has left us with amazing light and grace that we continue to cherish even today. If you ask Ghazala about Humayun, she would say this, that we were blessed to have him for 27 years. And he left us with the candle from which others are lighting their candle, of serving others, of standing with others, those who are vulnerable. He stood with them. He was in fifth grade, we received a call from his principal, please come to the principal's office. And Mrs. Khan rushed. She thought that something bad has happened. Principal had a boy and a girl and Humayun and his teacher in his office, and he saw the worried look on Mrs. Khan's face and said, don't worry, there is nothing wrong. There is something good I want to tell you, that Humayun, he's in fifth grade. Humayun saw how this boy was bullying this girl in the classroom. And Humayun saw it second day. And second day, Humayun stood up to this boy and told him that you will not bully her anymore. That was fifth grade Humayun. So that's how we know him. And thank you.
And there were critics who said ugly things about your appearance at the DNC. They said that you perhaps were politicizing your son's death. What would you say to that?
Well, yes, we are politicizing. There comes a time in a person's life, knowing Captain Humayun Khan's values, he would be proud of us, what we have done, why we have done after that bigoted statement. And we narrate all this in the book in great detail. After the bigoted statement, I will ban all Muslims, all Hispanics will be thrown out of here, they are criminals, women deserve no equal respect, and judges are partial. Small children of our neighborhood, our children's children, our grandchildren's classmates, our children's friends and their children would approach to me that you are a lawyer. Is this true? If this person becomes president, will we be thrown out of here? We are afraid. And I would hearten them, I would hug them and tell them, no, we are a country of laws, we are country of constitution, equal protection, equal dignity, rule of law. But nothing would hearten them. They would not eat well, they would not pay attention to their homework. Some of the parents called me and said, you have to speak to them again. Because they refuse to go to school. Every morning they have tummy ache. They don't want to go to school. And when we ask them why you don't want to go to school, they say that our friends are telling us in school that when you go back from school, your parents would have been taken. You will never see them again. So we don't want to go to school. This was happening in our personal life. And then came the invitation to come and speak. We were reluctant. We didn't want to go. We sat for 2 days pondering, should we go, shouldn't we go? We are humble, private, modest people, non-political totally. But that was on our mind when the invitation came, and when that card came from a middle school. 4 children wrote to us, and they placed it in our mailbox because there was no stamp on that envelope. And this is what that card said. One line that has taken us in the spirit of Captain Humayun Khan: care for others. Even to your own peril, you must care. You must stand for fairness. It is that card, that one line that sent us that day. We had almost decided we will not go because our well-wishers, our other children have said, do not go, this is not your cup of tea. This is what that line said: Mr. Khan, would you make sure that Maria is not thrown out of this country? We love her. She's our friend. And I read that card twice. We are people of faith. We had been praying for 2 days that some guidance should come our way so that we can decide, so we don't regret, should we have gone, should we have not gone. I brought that card to Wazala immediately. She looked at it and her eyes welled. She looked at me and she said, please call them. We will go. We will go on behalf of these children. So when they see that, they would be heartened. They would be encouraged that somebody is speaking on their behalf. So those who say this, that we are politicizing Captain Humayun Khan, of course we are. We are politicizing for fairness. We are politicizing his life, his sacrifice for the well-being of our children. We are so proud. If he was alive today, he would be standing right here. This is how we greeted one another, left side to left side, because that's where hearts are. And he would always encourage us. And so it is a tribute to his life. The proceeds of this book that we have published, rather there are 2 now, one for our middle school children. This is our Constitution. And the other book, the proceeds of this book, both of these books are dedicated to the scholarship that we have set up in University of Virginia. It is titled Captain Humayun Khan Memorial Scholarship on need-based in perpetuity. The students will continue to benefit. So the good life that he had lived, he blessed us for 27 years, and his legacy. Yes, we are politicizing. Yes, we are doing this so loudly, so clearly, so that others that are still walking the middle of the road would decide that this is the time for all of us to stand for fairness.
And Mr. Khan, you've had a very long relationship with the American Constitution. You write about studying it and admiring it when you were young in Pakistan, memorizing it. Do you have it with you right now?
Yes, I do. I'll bring out. I'll bring out for the purpose that I carry this in a minute. But yes, my love affair with the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, most importantly, Declaration of Independence, started in 1972. Those who criticize that why am I so passionate about this? My passion for this blessed document and the values, at that time when I read it first, when I read the Declaration of Independence first, I could not dream, I did not have the caliber or the courage to think that one day I'll be able to go and sit among the blessed people that are born and are raised under these values and the goodness that is enshrined in these documents. Twice in my life, why I am so passionate about the values of Constitution, Bill of Rights, the dignities, and the rule of law that is enshrined in our articles, is this. Twice in my life I have lived without any dignity under martial law, under authoritarian regimes. You can draw the conclusions. I will simply point out that twice I have lived under authoritarian dictators, military dictators in Pakistan. Once when I was middle school student. Second, when I was law student. I could not get out of my home unless the military dictator gave us the permission, you can come out of your house. I could not read the newspaper because newspapers were the enemy of the dictator. They were the enemy of the free press, was the enemy of the authoritarian dictator of the country. Burn all the presses, shoot all the reporters. If they don't behave, kill them. I have seen with my own eyes how press was mistreated. The fourth pillar of our democracy, how it was maligned and mistreated. I have seen how judges were declared their incompetence. They don't decide the cases. I will decide. I am the dictator. I am the ruler. I am the custodian of the justice for this nation. I will decide myself. These are the two traits of authoritarians. One is they do not like free press. Free press is their enemy. It's fake media. You draw the conclusions. Judges are partial. They are no good. We will see you in the court. When you go to the court, we will see you in the court again. It is those traits that I grew up. When I read the Declaration of Independence first time, I was in awe that is there a nation on this planet that declares its independence? What a courage they have. Normally, I also come from the background was in subcontinent that you gain your independence by when the king or the ruler feels benevolent, he will declare you free. You appeal for it, you struggle for it and all, but there had never been a nation, and I challenge to most Americans today that read your documents, read your founding documents, you will come out in awe of the founding values of this country. This country declared its independence. We are free henceforth, and declared the grievances. I read all 1,338 words of declaration in one standing. My feet were hurting. I took my shoes off and I read them. I did not understand the full impact of it then in the first reading, but I read it. Then I read the articles that describe our rule of law, how the judicial system would work, how the judges will be appointed, the relation between the state and the federal government. Oh, so that is how civilized people live. Then I read the best part of the Constitution, our Bill of Rights. I still remain, I did this exercise a few years ago out of curiosity. I decided to read the most of this world's constitutions, of the countries that have constitution. There is no nation on this earth, and I implore you to do that exercise, which declares in its constitution, the very first amendment, which says the first 5 words. I implore you to look at the spirit of those first 5 words. Congress shall make no laws. The Congress is the supreme body of this nation, has the full authority to decide and declare whatever laws should be enacted or rescinded. But Congress is being prohibited from touching those liberties under First Amendment and the rest under our Bill of Rights. No other constitution of the world, generally the constitutions say Congress have the right to do this, or Parliament has the authority to do this, or legislate whatever it deems appropriate, except United States. It prohibits, because those values that are enshrined, especially I give example of the First Amendment, and the very first value that is enshrined, you draw the conclusion and connect the dots, is the freedom of the press. It is so fundamental to the United States liberty, its democracy, its rule of law. Freedom of religion, whether you practice or you don't practice any religion, but you shall not be discriminated based on that. It is those values that have made us beacon of hope for the rest of the world. And it is for such reasons I am so passionate. 168 speaking engagements. Thank you. Thank you. 168 speaking engagements, and I shall continue as long as it takes to remind the entire nation of the goodness of this country, of the values that are enshrined in our documents, the basic foundations of our democracy, our rule of law. And I am so heartened when I see the fear, when I see the concern in the hearts and minds of communities throughout the nation, because when there is so much concern, when there is so much realization that we have taken a wrong turn, that soon thereafter, immediately thereafter is the correction. I am so hopeful. I give you, you will say, give us an example. I give you an example. I come from Virginia, from Charlottesville, Virginia. You saw the results. You saw the result last Tuesday. We took the turn for the right, and this nation will take the turn for the right. It is that gives us hope that regardless of Russian collaborator entered into the White House, we will correct, we will take our democracy back, we will take the dignity of our electoral system back, and this nation, because it is founded on the goodness, on the pluralism, on giving every citizen of this nation equal dignity, equal right, we will move forward with that spirit, that founding spirit of this nation. Should we be concerned about our safety, our security of our borders, of our nation? Yes, we all are responsible for our security, but unfair treatment of vulnerable communities, that is a defeated mentality. This nation will never stand for that.
Let's talk about then candidate Trump, who called for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims in this country until we can figure out what the hell is going on. His words, not mine. Let's talk about those words. A reporter called you the next day and asked for your reaction, and your reaction was, Americans are good and decent people, and this will never happen. Has your view changed?
No, my stand and my belief is further confirmed. We are concerned about our safety, yes, and I am for that. Very strong immigration. We don't have immigration policy, we have immigration law, and I'll explain in a second the difference between policy and laws. But we must protect our borders, we must protect our nations. Those with malintention, with malice in their mind and their heart should never be allowed to enter the United States. But that doesn't mean that we begin to violate our Constitution. We begin to issue executive orders that are in violation of the Constitution. I believe in the statements and the declaration of the national security advisors, those who have given their life and those who have spent all of their life protecting this nation. They all declared that such declarations do not protect us. Such declaration put our men and women serving in overseas in harm's way, under danger, under risk. Therefore, this kind of bigotry is of no value to this nation. It does not protect us. My faith is reaffirmed in the constitutional values of this country based on this. There is a purpose of not deciding such a policy decision based on the violation of the First Amendment, freedom of religion, freedom of faith, that no laws will be passed based on that. I not only have spoken against that, I have filed 2 briefs explaining to the courts on the Ninth Circuit and the Supreme Court as well, that why it is harmful to our nation, even for the security matters, that such distinction, strict security policy, yes. Strict immigration policy, yes. But violating the Constitution, marginalizing a community, alienating a community, gives room to those who have malice about our country to find a corner to grow, to become more powerful. And this is what I said this is what I meant when I said we have immigration laws, but we don't have immigration policy. This is the difference. In immigration policy, and this nation never had immigration policy, this is what happens. In immigration policy, we estimate how many people are retiring this year, next 3 years, next 5 years, next 20 years. Who will be replacing them in the workforce so that the income to support their needs, their retirement is continuing. We do not have that. We do not have which sector will be needing how much manpower, how many people will be needed to support technology, how many people will be needed 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now in farming, in agriculture, in industry, in manufacturing, in technology. We don't have that policy. That is why it is reported, and please consider this. There are 7 million, mostly young Americans, unemployed in this nation. There are 6.2 million vacancies in technology field that we cannot find enough trained people to fill. That is why this disparity of income exists, that these folks that are using that disparity to sow the division that, oh, immigrants are coming, they are taking over your jobs. Other nations are preparing people for the future, meaning they are training their young men and women to take technology jobs. That is why you see influx of people coming from outside the United States, because we don't have any immigration policy. We have not prepared. It's not that we lack resources. It is that some of these divisive folks among our nation have found this fear of immigrants as an easy target, easy way to exploit the sentiments of the community. And that is what they are doing. Instead of advising that we should train our young generation for the next 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, so that we will fill all the vacancies that exist. Even today, as I said, 6.2 million vacancies. Ask any technology expert of this country, they will tell you there are not enough people trained in United States that will take those jobs. So the disparity exists that is being exploited by those who divide us based on that. That is an old script. First World War, second, they're not genius that they have come out with this economic disparity division, something new they have invented, not at all. First World War, read the script of First World War, Second World War, 3 elements. 1, nationalism. 2, economic well-being. 3rd was fear of immigrants. Oh, these immigrants are coming, they will take over all of your jobs. Same script gave us First World War, same script gave us Second World War, and same script is being repeated now. But this time, this is 2017, we are so codependent, we realize that this issue of economic well-being, fear of immigrants is a divisive issue. We have become so interdependent that we should learn about this, how to solve these problems, how to resolve them, so that the nation is stronger, so that this nation remains a beacon of hope for the rest of the world and remains strong based on our foundation, on our ideals, on our democracy. Look, the Brexit took place in Europe. I was invited to speak there. I spoke to them much early on when there was only hints of foreign intervention in the Brexit. Today, now they are investigating the influence of that foreign intervention in Brexit. They are regretting that this took place. Same thing is in the United States. We are discovering how our system of elections, how our system of government was maligned, was attacked, its integrity was attacked. So these elements, we are becoming more aware. We are becoming more aware that 7th, people ask me in every gathering, so what is the solution? The solution is this, as Virginia showed it on 7th of November. Stand up, speak for your values. Every American should participate in our electoral process. If we did that, our democracy will be stronger. Those who look towards us with malice in their hearts towards us will be defeated. We will remain. We just celebrated 230 years of our founding documents, of our Constitution. We have 230 more years to go and more to go, and we all remain in support of our values. We are direct beneficiaries. These dignities, I write in the book, that ask any person at the darkest corner of this earth who has never heard of America, who has never heard of these values that are enshrined in our founding documents, meaning what? Meaning this: do you want to have freedom to speak? The person will say yes. Do you want to have freedom to practice your faith or not have any faith? They will say yes. Do you want to have freedom to protest or speak? They will say yes, without realizing that we all are guaranteed those values. These values are worth fighting for, standing for, making sure that no one with the malice in their heart ever lays a bad hand or bad eyes towards it. It is that mission that I continue to speak in the spirit of Captain Humayun Khan. He gave his life, and I repeat it because some people object to that why you are bringing his sacrifice to this conversation, this political conversation. No, this is not political conversation. It is the conversation in defense of the values that are enshrined in our Constitution, in the 3 blessed documents. This is the story of the goodness of this nation that has made this nation beacon of hope. I cite in the book the speech that I heard, and I stood up when Reagan reached the end of that speech where he says, I have dreamed of this nation as a shining city on hill that has walls around it, but that wall has doors in it. So anyone with courage, anyone with heart can enter those doors and become part of this blessed nation. So it is for that purpose that we continue to speak.
And I want to take it to a personal level, more about your personal experience. Obviously, you knew that speaking at the DNC was going to expose you and your family in a way that you hadn't experienced before, but it then evolved into some sort of feud with then-candidate Trump. How has it changed your life and the life of your family, and was it all worth it?
Yes, it was worth it many a times, many a times. Now that we have begun to consider that there comes, this is what we talk, Ghazala and I, that had it been worth, there are 2 choices. And again, it's Captain Humayun Khan's life comes into play. He had the choice. He could have simply, like he ordered his men to hit the ground, he could have hit the ground. But that would have caused this suicide bomber to hit the wall, and on the other side of the wall there were scores of American soldiers that had just had breakfast and were getting ready to go to work next morning, that fateful morning. He had that choice. He could have ordered, his commanders are telling us that he could have ordered his men that were protecting the base to shoot that cab. But he must have thought that this may be an innocent person that has lost his way. So he gave his life in protection of others, in care of others. It is in that spirit that we say that we continue to speak regardless of attack. We have received thousands of wonderful mail, heartening mail from all over the country, people reminding us that, thank you for reminding us of our Constitution, of our values, of our goodness. We are grateful for that. But then there had been some ugliness as well. There had been some discouraging email. But look at the difference. And this is where the strength of the stand and the standing for fairness is so visible. Those who have written us ugly email, this is how we recognize it the moment we look at the envelope of that mail. They do not write return address on it. That speaks, that one doesn't know from the other, but they're all displaying the same cowardice. They do not realize that how it is so common because of the cowardice. On the other hand, we have people that have showered their love and their care and their courtesy. We have a letter from a retired Army nurse. 26 pages she writes. She served in Second World War in Germany. And on the 26th page, she writes to us after telling the whole story of her service in Europe prior to Second World War. And she said, Mr. and Mrs. Khan, continue to speak. Had more people spoken before Second World War, we could have avoided the atrocities that were committed in Second World War. We could have avoided the atrocities that were committed against our Jewish brothers and sisters in Second World War. Continue to speak. It is such letter, that 26th page means so very much to me that I will continue to speak.
There's so much more I want to ask you, but I want to open it up to the audience if there are questions from the audience members for Mr. Khan.
Yes. First of all, I would just like to say that nobody would take away from your son's sacrifice or from the grief any Gold Star family must feel when they lose a son. But once you put yourself out there as a political figure and as a very rabid critic of the president, or at the time candidate Trump, I think it opened you up. Like, you can't say you're above criticism. At that point, he had a right to defend himself. He had a right to say whatever he wanted to defend himself. Okay, that's the first point. But the second point was about the second question.
Okay, let's all be respectful and let him finish his
Constitution.
question.
The Constitution does not provide. There's no constitutional right for people outside this country to enter the country. I hope you understand that. There's no constitutional right. So when you hold up the Constitution and say this is the Constitution, what Trump was saying is nothing contrary to the Constitution.
Everyone, let's
our
be
primary
respectful
primary responsibility of any president is to protect this country. And if there's a group of people anywhere in the world, because of religious extremism or whatever, that pose a threat, he was saying, let's suspend, not ban, suspend suspend immigration until we have clear vetting and strong vetting procedures in place. But that was not the way it was covered in the press.
Let's give him a chance to respond. Let's give him a chance to respond to the question.
Stop screaming. I would be able to finish. You people are rude. You people are very rude.
No, please, let him.
When you were all giving that standing ovation, it's not because you love him. It's because you hate Trump.
I'm sorry.
Admit it.
Can I interrupt you?
Let him finish.
Can we let him answer the question?
I did not understand my brother's question, so I don't know what to say.
I think he was saying that, I'm trying to interpret, I think that he was saying the president had a right to argue back, and that he has a right to call for a suspension of a certain group of people who he believes are a threat to the United States. I think that was what I got from it.
Well, the president is entitled to his point of view, so are we. We are equal under the Constitution. We have equal right to criticize a candidate and criticize the president. And we were exercising, and we will continue to exercise our right of expression, and let the courts decide who's right, who's wrong. So,
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Thank you for being such a good human being and for inspiring all of us. And for standing up for immigrants and for the rule of law. There is a law in the books called temporary protected status, which, like all laws, the executive is supposed to follow. And right now, in the days before Thanksgiving, DHS has to decide whether it's going to respect that law under which 50,000 Haitians are protected because of the cholera epidemic and Hurricane Matthew and the earthquake. So we all should appreciate your reminders of the values that we're not a country that allows individuals to run amok over the law, but the executive has to obey it. Thanks for the reminders.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Khan.
Good evening.
I understand you have fulfilled many dreams in your life, coming to the United States, going to Harvard. Is there any other dream you have yet to fulfill? Thank you.
My dream would be to see my nation remain beacon of hope for the rest of the world. There is a report in the media and international media and all that instead of being number one on the prestige of the nations, we have slid to number 6 since last election. And I want to continue to see my nation become number one, not because of its military power or its economic power, no, because of its ideals, because of its principles, because of those principles being the beacon of hope for the rest of the world. Thank you.
Mr. Khan, I believe that there is a certain threat to our Constitution, which was expounded by the late Justice Scalia, which is that you have to interpret everything in its originalist idea as if nobody else could have any idea or way to interpret the Constitution. What do you think of Scalia's position?
No, I agree with the late Justice's interpretation and its point of view. It's a living document. We should always remember this, that all the changes that are taking place in our country, throughout the world, we must continue to deal with them. There is legislative process, there is constitutional process to incorporate those changes. Sometime when that argument is presented, it is limited to certain provisions of Bill of Rights. Not all. If we need to be strict interpreting our constitutional values enshrined in our documents, then that should be for all provisions of the Constitution, not only certain provisions of the Constitution. So that is the only humble footnote I have, but I agree with Justice Scalia that Constitution should be read under its original sense. But then we are not living in 1776, 1784. We should be cognizant of that fact as well, and that we move forward to 2017. But I agree with him. Thank you. Yes,
you talk a lot about defending the Constitution. I wonder what your position is in terms of the United States' role in defending the Universal Declaration of Rights and the values that that enshrines and that I think also reflect American values.
Did you understand?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
What's your position on how you see the U.S. defending the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Oh, yes, yes. Look, sometimes people begin to get this impression when I speak so passionately about my country, about its values, about its goodness, about its history, that somehow I'm saying that this is the perfect place on planet Earth. Not at all. This is not perfect place. There is so much room to make things better. There is so much more to move forward with. But this is the best place. This is the best place. Compare it with the rest of the world and you will come to this conclusion that there is no other nation as United States of America. Declaration of Human Rights, International Declaration of Human Rights, so much more needs to be done. We are falling behind because of the current circumstances. We are falling behind on those commitments that we have made to the rest of the world. We are absent from the table, from the world table where we used to sit. We are absent now from there. That is putting us behind. Instead of moving forward, we are retracting, and that concerns me. But I agree that we have so much. We have so much further to go to move our nation forward.
Assalamu alaikum, Khizr Khan Sahib. Thank you so much. May God bless you and your family for the sacrifice. As an expatriate of Pakistan, I can vouch what you said about the Constitution and when it is violated. As a member of Ahmadiyya Muslim community, we have no rights in Pakistan to vote, and the Parliament of Pakistan has declared Ahmadis as non-Muslims, which they have no right to do. And that is something I share with Americans, my friends in America, that the Constitution, as you are saying, is absolutely a sacred document. This protects not only Ahmadis are thriving in the world, but Pakistan, on the other hand, has taken a spiral, a nosedive since they declared Ahmadis as non-Muslims. So I agree with that 100%. My question to you is, although it might be irrelevant to American audience, if they're given any opportunity and chance to speak to authorities in Pakistan, would you be able to convince them to give Ahmadi Muslims equal rights? Thank you so much, sir.
Let me, don't go anywhere. Let me answer this question right away. I wish you would have read the book. I addressed that issue, that none of us, Muslim to Muslim, none of us has any right to declare other person out of their claimed faith, period. We are all of equal dignity. This is between one person of faith and the faith that he or she practices. I have no right to declare somebody out of this faith or in this faith. I condemn the violence that Muslims are committing throughout the world. I condemn that violence, but I still do not give myself that right. Oh, they are not Muslims. I am the one that is Muslim. Not at all. That is not in my faith at all. I hope that answers your question, that you and I, everyone is of equal dignity, of equal respect, of equal in the eyes of our Creator. I share quickly a story of Attar. It's another Persian wise man. He narrates that a person in a place of worship was worshiping idol. And was worshiping idols, so God orders that angel Gabriel to go and grant all of his prayers. So Gabriel goes to this place of worship where this person was worshiping an idol, and goes back to the presence of God and says, God, he's not worshiping you, he's worshiping the idol. How are you granting his prayers? And this is what God says, and that is where the answer to your question also lies. He said, I know this, but I am answering his sincerity of prayer. Go answer all of his prayer. He's praying so sincerely, even though he's praying to an idol. So it is that, it's a matter of divine decisions and all that. We all are of equal dignity, equal respect, equal character. So,
thank you, sir. God bless you. Shukriya.
Thank you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. First, I wanted to thank you so much as a Muslim American for all that you've done for the Muslim American community and representing us in such a good way, and that means a lot to me. My question is, when exactly, or like what exactly pushed your son, Captain Humayun Khan, to join the armed forces?
It's not too complicated. When he made the decision to join the ROTC program and then to take the commission, we asked him, what his motives are, and he said, look, whenever I am with the members of the ROTC, they are so honorable, they are so committed, they are so hardworking. I feel that I am in element with them. Now, you tell me that if a grown-up child of a person says that I want to join army or I want to join armed forces for these honorable goals and aims, how could you refuse? How could you decline? How could you discourage them? So we gave him our blessing, but his statement to us was, which heartens us, that I feel I am in my element with this honor, with this dignity, with this service to others, service to our nation. And so under those circumstances, we readily agreed with him.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Khan, on behalf of Miami Book Fair, on behalf of Miami Dade College, and everyone here, and Ms. Shabazz as well. Thank you for gracing us with your presence and with your inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Baby got back. And Book TV's live coverage of the Miami Book Fair continues. We've got one more segment, and we will be live all day tomorrow.